Did he say 25%? Yeah, 25. I wanted to make a couple of videos today. And the first one I want to really make for you is WoW is down to 7 million subscribers. It's dropped 2 million subscribers, almost 3 million subscribers since December. And a lot of people are freaked out about this. And to be honest, here's the problem, guys, is the game is, I honestly think it's never going to be back to where it was. As somebody who took a lot of time off after Siege of Orgrimmar because it was out for way too long, the problem is you only have two sides to the game, right? There's either PvP or PvE. Realistically, most people don't log on to do garrisons. They don't log on to level alts. They don't just casually play the game anymore because it's been out for so long. I mean, it's literally been out for over 10 years. That's insane, right? So WoW's had a great run, but why is it down so much so fast? And honestly, the reason is rating. PvP, again, the season, they have two options with PvP. Is one, they need to end the seasons quicker and get content out quicker. But the problem is again, what they're waiting on is the PvE people, okay? So the problem is right now is there's not that many guilds that have killed Blackhand, even with the raid-wide nerf of giving everybody a 5 item level boost on every piece of BRF gear. The problem is the raiding community and the PvP community, there's only two ends of the spectrum, right? There's the hardcore, the top 10-15% who play competitively, who play at a very high level, and then there's everyone else. The looking for raid tool, I used that when I first started playing, and to be honest with you, it was cool to be able to go in there and see the fights, but it wasn't worth the time because there's just no way to make it not a shitty group. Period, end of story. Like, people have no accountability to each other. There's no set time schedule. You're never raiding with the same people. There's no community feel to it. The player base just becomes toxic. It becomes kind of an elitist LFR, right? There's people in there bragging about killing stuff on heroic, and it's like, you're adorable. That's the old normal. Shut up. So even at this point, like, I actually got back into Mythic and got I was with them all the way up until Blast Furnace and Blackhand progression. Obviously, because I started so late, there's no reason to bring my undergeared mage. But even I'm to the point with it where I honestly, like, I actually signed back up to raiding. I had to take about 6-7 months off of raiding completely when I opened my gym. And even right now, I'm to the point where I don't really want to go back. There's nothing enticing about the raids. I've looked at all the PTR bosses. There's nothing that they're doing that's new. WoW is boring. Period. End of story. WoW is boring. They can't possibly make any more encounters than they've already made, and that's really the problem, is when you look over how many expansions they've had, how many tiers of raiding they've had, there's only so much you can do. There's only so many mechanics you can have before you start rewashing, or what happened in BRF is you put so many mechanics in because people are bored of doing the same stuff that you then have to overcompensate mechanics, and it becomes even worse because now it's too hard. So even the players who want to play casually, maybe 1, 2, 3 nights a week, sit down and raid for a couple hours, they're having a lot of issues because there's just so many mechanics, and the problem is the player base also is older. So not only do you have a player base of aging people, I mean, the people who played WoW when it first came out, if you were 16, 17, 18 years old when WoW first came out, I mean, you're damn near 30. I mean, I'm 29, so I know from experience, like, a lot of us have real life to worry about, right? We have careers, we have jobs, we have families, we have stuff to do that takes away from us being able to really play hardcore. So the problem is the new up-and-coming player base in the game doesn't really have that connection to the old lore, to the old feel, and because I honestly think because of how toxic the online gaming community has gotten, that the new players that are coming in are just forcing the old players out to where they don't want to be a part of it anymore. I can tell you from experience that being in battlegrounds, being in arenas, being in raids, heroics, or raid finder, or whatever, that over the last year and a half, the player base has gotten extremely toxic. And if you don't believe me, just watch the comments below, and just people who watch this video and get pissed off about it and start bitching at me. I won't read them, so go ahead and let me know what they are. But it happens all the time. Like if you go through and you read Twitch chat, you read YouTube comments on people's videos who put in a lot of time and a lot of effort into their channels, it's just hell. Like the community is just hell. It's made up of angry, pubescent kids. And the problem is WoW's main player base is not angry pubescent kids anymore. It's people in their mid-20s. And the problem with people in their mid-20s is they're no longer in college, right? So, I mean, even top-end raiding guilds, like Last Word not being the hierarchy of raiding guilds, but still competitive and still going for, you know, I would say what would be considered the kind of the bottom end of the elite class of raider, right? Like of the top 5%, top 10%, they're in 8 or 9 or 10, right? But even they're having trouble keeping people and recruiting new players because it's such a time commitment because of everything that you have to do. I mean, look at guilds like Nihilium, like Method, Paragon, all these guys. After you get outside of the top 15, 20 kills of Blackhand, how long did it take? I mean, it was months before you had 50 guilds killing Blackhand. And I mean, these guilds were putting in stupid amount of time, just a stupid amount of time on these bosses because it was so tightly tuned, which is great. That's what Blizzard wanted to do. The problem is once you're done with heroics, now you're regurgitating it again. So you've done LFR, normal, heroic, and mythic, and it just adds a mechanic pretty much every single time. So you're fighting the same fight, progressing on the same fight that you've done over and over and over and over again. And it's not fun anymore. That's why you see this huge drop-off, period, end of story. There's no other reason around it. I feel terrible for the game, but I honestly think this is going to be... this is going to be one of the... You will never see 10 million subscribers hit again in World of Warcraft. I don't think you ever will. The only way you will is if they do free-to-play. They even came out with the WoW token. So if people had a ton of gold, they didn't ever have to pay for WoW. You could just buy... You know what I mean? You could just buy the tokens on the auction house, and they still went down that much. Imagine what would have happened if they didn't come out with the token. I honestly think they would be 6 to 5 million. It would be the lowest it's probably ever been. And I honestly think by the end of this expansion, it will be, because the problem is that you're finding is even the raiders that I love playing with, the only reason they still play together is because of the relationships they formed with each other. The content's no longer enjoyable. You go sit in a raid right now, go watch any raider stream. It is, everybody in the raid is defeated. Nobody's excited to do the content. Nobody wants to be there. You're raiding because it's something that you have done the last 8 to 10 years of your life, so it's what you're good at and what you do. But go listen to some of those streams or watch some of these high-end raiders, guys. There's just no excitement. There's zero excitement at this point in an expansion, and that's what happens. So you're having more and more kind of the top-end old-school raiders drop out, and you're replacing them with kind of the younger generation of toxicity, which doesn't understand just how to get along with people. To be honest with you, is just how to be respectful to people. Because you don't know these people across the keyboard, but you wouldn't talk to them like that if you were face-to-face with them. Trust me. That's just the way life is, right? Keyboard and phone courage. People are full of keyboard courage, right? If you tell me that people would say half the crap that they say, to people like Bashir or even, even myself, some of the comments that I read, I'm like, dude, if you were standing next to me, you would never say that to me because I would bury you into the ground. But because you're behind a keyboard, you think that you're all of a sudden tough. And it's not that you're tough, it's that you're immature and you're 14, which is fine. Again, it's up to you. You can do whatever you want. But that's the problem with WoW right now is the old school kind of calm, let's do this, older crowd of WoW is bored with the game, and they're moving on with their lives. They have stuff they want to do. They have careers and families. And then the younger crowd that's coming in is just making it easier and easier for the older crowd to get out. And the problem with the younger crowd is, again, their attention span is that long. They're not going to sit in a game and subscribe for years and years and years when there's nothing in it for them. As soon as they're done with the game and it's bored and they've geared all the way up and they've done everything that there is pretty much to do on the side that they want to do, whether it be PvP or PvE, they're done and they stop playing. And that's how games are nowadays. If you look at any game, there's really not anything that doesn't progress and that doesn't have some kind of tournament or online esport in the making of it. And WoW has PvP arena, sure, but it's so old it doesn't really matter. There's so many better PvP games out there. There just is. And even with Heroes, with Hearthstone, they have other games that are going to vastly surpass World of Warcraft when it comes to esports. So WoW doesn't have a foothold to hang on to besides that old crowd, which again is an old crowd now. I mean, that's what they are. They're no longer the young gamers who want to do that. You know, when we were kids, games like Final Fantasy VII, games that were very, very long and story-driven and grindy, those were the kind of games that were popular back then. I mean, if you remember stuff like, Mega Man, god damn, how hard were those games? You know, any of the Final Fantasy games, there was so many games that were just, 2, 3, 4 discs of game that you would have to play through in order to beat. And we liked that. You know, even the original EverQuest and all that kind of stuff. Star Wars, the first MMO that they came out with was the most grindy thing on the planet. That's what our generation of gamers is used to, and the problem is now we don't have the time. The younger generation is not used to that. They're used to, I'm at high level, I'm competing against other people, I want to be online, period, end of story. When we were all kids first growing up and had computers and Nintendos and Segas and PS1s and everything else, we didn't have online. That didn't exist. So we weren't really accustomed to that. And now that's just the way it is. So honestly, guys, that's my opinion as to why WoW is down so much, so fast. It's a boring, dying game. Sorry. There's just so many other better titles coming out. The fact that Blizzard scrapped Titan and now I don't know what they're doing, but they need another MMO. Like, their MMO is done. It's way past its prime, but it's never going to recover. There's just no way. You're never going to recover WoW. It's too boring. The way that you play it needs to be redone. There needs to be a new way to play MMOs. And I think that's what Blizzard's trying to figure out. So hopefully they figure it out sooner than later. Again, are they still doing great things with stuff like Overwatch? Yeah, Hearthstone, obviously. Heroes of the Storm, they're doing amazing things. I was on ESPN2, for God's sakes. So Blizzard's still on the cutting edge of stuff. But, it's almost like you got to know when it's time to show them and know when it's time to fold them. And with WoW, guys, I'm sorry to say, but I think it's on its last leg. So, anyway, that's my opinion on it. If you guys want to let me know what your thoughts are, shoot me a comment below, message me on Twitter, whatever it is, that's fine. I'll go through and I'll check them out. If you guys just want to be trolls and dick around in the comments, that's fine too. I probably won't read it. So anyway, guys, just wanted to give you my opinion on that stuff. But as always, see you in the next one.